welcome to Three Brothers and a Shot of Milk. Today, we're going to do a deep dive into Jordan Peele's Nope. Guys, let's start off with the spoiler-free review, right? And then we'll get to the meat on the bone. Let me go on my trusty IMDb right here and read you a spoiler-free synopsis, and then we'll tell you how we feel about it. The residents of a lonely gulch in inland California bear witness to an uncanny and chilling discovery. It doesn't get more thin than that.
Okay.
Nope.
I thought it was entertaining. I really enjoyed the performances, especially Keke Palmer. I felt like, I know where you're from. I know what you've been through. I know how you feel about your life. I feel like I knew her. And yeah, I just feel like Jordan Peele, there's such an expectation when you go into his films now. It's almost not even fair. It's like you can't just watch his movie without going in thinking you're going to get a thesis in something. Like you can't just go in and watch it. But when after a couple of days of removing that, I was like, okay, this is an entertaining flick. It's an entertaining flick. That's where I'm at. Rich,
I'll let Jack
you just saw it today.
Yeah, I did. I'll let Jack go first.
All right. Yeah, well, you kind of hit it pretty well. It's hard to walk into a Jordan Peele movie with the kind of hype that's behind this guy after Get Out and not have a certain, I'm not even going to say expectation, hope. Because the content that the guy's putting out there is so important to the industry, in my opinion. And what Get Out did is it just validated that irrefutably. And Us, for me, fell a little short. And it came down to storytelling. And I had a similar experience with Nope, where there are elements of the film that I absolutely love. The importance of the film, I will die on the cross for. But at the end of the day, I was ultimately a little unsatisfied with it. But it was probably because Get Out was so damn good that years later, that's what I'm talking about. You know, he's really the M. Night Shyamalan of storytelling right now, where this guy stepped up to plate and hit a home run first time at bat, and everyone's looking at him wondering, you gonna smash one out of the park again? So it's a little unfair. I enjoyed the movie, but I was ultimately cool.
Okay. Rich?
Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. This movie should have just been like an hour and a half maximum, because there was just a lot of stuff in this movie. I was like, why is it there? Why am I looking at why do I care about this part? Like, I wanted to see just the main, what they were showing in the trailers, like, what was happening with this black family. I forgot the name of the family, were pretty much the descendants of the first motion picture, which is the black jockey, around
the
carousel flicker.
Yeah.
That whole story. I was more intrigued in that and what was going on there. I didn't need the rest of it. Wait, are we at the section where we're breaking it down?
Not really, but we can be.
Okay.
Almost.
All right. That was our spoiler-free review. Now we're going to get into spoilers.
Yeah, my bad.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't need, like, most of it. And I was just like, it was just a lot. It was a lot to sit down and watch. And I'm just like, man, like, why do I care about this dude who, watched his sitcom family get beat to death, which was brutal. Let me just say that, dude. Watching sitcom family get beat to death by a chimpanzee. What does that have to do with the horse family right now? What does that have to do with them?
Well,
it doesn't. Well, and it needed to.
It does.
I mean,
though.
that element of the movie was.
It does,
but it didn't. It didn't actually. Like those scenes when you're watching a film and it's got a series, not one, not two, but a series of flashbacks that are supposed to somehow push the story forward, and these flashbacks didn't push the story forward, and they didn't really add.
Okay, I'll tell you this.
How? Yeah, how did it push the story forward?
We're talking about in the beginning of this movie, we're on a TV set, and we're pretty much in the 80s. And you see this, they're shooting a TV show with a chimpanzee, a balloon pops on set, chimp goes crazy, murders pretty much everyone. And throughout this film, we keep flashbacking to this point, and we see the chimpanzee doesn't kill the lead kid who grows up to be the guy that runs the ranch or whatever. This is why, and I'm not saying that.
We get the point, though. The point is you can't domesticate a wild animal. But how does it push the story forward?
It pushes the human part of the story forward of how we deal with trauma and how we use it to capitalize in capitalism. So the kid and it also talks about like the crew. That's why, you know, the stagehands are the crew, the below the line people if you're in the business. And usually it's like those guys are more in tune and understand what's going on, where the actors and the directors and producers kind of have their heads in the clouds. And this kid was an actor on set, and that chimpanzee killed everybody, but that chimp saw him and wanted to give him a pound because that's what he was trained to do. This kid thought he was special. That's why he smiles. Therefore, he gets older, doesn't learn his lesson, and thinks he can tame this alien. He thinks he can, showing us human nature. But then the crew, the stagehands, the horse wranglers were taught to respect these animals, taught to respect nature, taught to respect human beings. Therefore, at the end of the day, they were the people that were able to wrangle the big animal. I'm not saying that it's super clear, but I'm saying it is there for a reason. It's thematically there for a reason. It is.
It's not there in a way that's digestible, though. Listen, I agree with what you're saying, but I don't know that that is actually in the film in a way that helps push those elements of the film forward, where we actually get those distinctions. If it's so subtle that it's almost non-existent at all, then it's actually not serving your story in a way that helps clarify your story, push your story forward. I'm not an audience member who needs it spoon-fed. I just need it there.
We were talking about this, Jack, about Get Out and how Get Out, there was a million ways why Get Out should not have worked. It should have felt too on the nose. It should have felt too airy-fairy, supernaturally, or too science. Like it toed the line perfectly. And if it went a little to the right or left, it would have fell apart. And it's hard to do that. Yeah. It's hard to make the Thriller album again, where all the things just kind of fired off. And here, like the dude who runs the ranch, on the back of his blazer, you see an image of the alien. Yes. And that was the director telling us he knows about him. But if you missed that, which you could have because you sneezed or you went to eat popcorn, you're sitting there with questions you shouldn't have at that point. And you miss the impact. So I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that in his own way, it is there, but it may not be digestible enough. It may not be. It's a Friday night. I'm going to the movies. I had a long day at work. Am I supposed to go in with a magnifying glass? No, Christopher Nolan, Inception, in the first 10 minutes, he teaches you how to watch his film. Like, you know that you're taught in the beginning, this is the kind of film it is. I need you to look here and ask questions. We didn't get the notion that we needed to do that here.
But there was an odd blend of that in this movie also. Within the first, very soon into the film, there was no payoff or surprise to me when the flying saucer was actually a creature, because they had already given that to you within the first 20 or 30 minutes of the 2-hour movie. I missed that part. They gave it.
The twist still wasn't twisty enough.
So when
it wasn't twisty enough,
I guess, and that's what I'm saying. It was like there was this odd blend of poor information being given, and then like it's so clear that it was like, where's my payoff in moments, and like I think it was when they were in Fry's, which that was one of the most exciting moments for me because I shop in that Fry's before it closed down. That Fry's closed down due to the pandemic, like so many other stores out there. And so it's boarded up and closed off. And I was thinking about that when I was watching those scenes. I was like, I wonder if they must have shot that after it closed down.
This whole film is a pandemic film. That's why they were pretty much in one location, the ranch. That's why the doctor's office, you didn't see a bunch of extras. Like, this was a pandemic movie. And he had to make, that's what I give to Jordan Peele. He had to make a small movie feel big because you shot this at the highest level of COVID.
And it did. I mean, it felt like we're watching an epic.
That. Like, yeah, he definitely made it seem big. Bigger than, it was when he actually filmed it. But still, I'm just like, no.
For me, guys, I'm with the first half of it for sure. Like, everything that happened before the ship bled all over the house.
Yeah.
Because I'm intrigued. I don't know what this is. I don't know where we are. I'm digging the brother-sister relationship. The Fries guy is fun and dope.
Yeah.
And Jordan Peele, to me, is brilliant in a way that other directors just don't operate like him, where he can throw suspense, social commentary, and humor all in the same scene, and they don't bump up against each other.
Yep.
Like, he's a master at that. So I'm digging it. For me, it was just when let's get a picture of this thing and the action adventure part started. That's where I started.
But that's the part that made the least sense too. And by the end of the film, so the whole film turns into the brother and sister just wanting to make some money by capturing this phenomenon so they can show it to Oprah and be recognized and get money and fame for their ranch and stuff, right? But then by the end of the thing, the big payoff is she takes this bootleg shot with the camera in a well that, honest to God, my iPad's sitting right there and I can make the same photo in about an hour. So I'm like, but that was the validation of the movie.
That was my issue with Glass. That was my issue at the end of Glass. When, like, we finally got superheroes on camera, I'm like, I can do that with Adobe After Effects. How does this prove anything? Yeah.
Right. So it's like, what were we watching and why? Like, the movie needed to be something, in my opinion, and that's the only thing I can give you, my opinion, the movie needed to have some sort of relevancy other than we got to capture a photo or a video of this thing. Like, it had to go back to this wild animal.
I think what's here,
right?
It might be too subtle. It is too subtle because we're not dumb. But I think the thought is everybody here is chasing limelight and fame. You know, the first scene that Kiki Palmer's character comes in, she pretty much lists her resume as a stunt woman. I can do that. I act, I write, like. Everybody here in this Hollywood is trying to sell themselves. The dude at the ranch, I'm trying to, like, and even this picture, literally people died so you can get famous. And I think that's the social commentary of our generation in this film is you're willing to try to tame pretty much Jaws. You're trying to tame Jaws so you can get on Oprah's book club. I think that, I mean, and I'm not saying that it was done the way we wanted it, but I think that's the social commentary. And it is why. You have a picture that anybody can Photoshop. Was it worth it? A cinematographer died to get the best shot possible. Is this worth it?
But the shot he took was destroyed in capturing it. What was the point? Oh. It's just stupid. That's a trope that's obnoxious to watch over and over again.
For no reason.
It did spit a can out, though. The can of film. I don't know. So, look, I'm not saying all these things worked. I'm just saying I see why they were there. I'm not saying...
You know what's... I got to be honest. Listening to you say some of the stuff you've said... I'm sitting here going, yes, that was in the film, and yes, I see that extrapolation is in there, or the subtextual truth was totally there, or yes, that's evident. But man, it wasn't there when you're watching. It wasn't there for me when I was watching.
It didn't impact you the way it was supposed to. It's that's kind of how I felt about Us.
But I wouldn't refute. Yeah, but I wouldn't refute that it's.
But it's like. With Us, I had more fun talking about it than I had sitting in there watching it.
Okay. Yeah.
Because 100% agree with that.
I mean,
go ahead, Rich.
I get everything you're saying. Like now that you sit back and bring it all out and be like, yeah, this was the meaning of this and that. I'm like, all right, yeah, I can see that. But man, I'm not that guy. I don't break down and analyze shit. I look at a movie, and I'm looking at this movie in particular. I'm like, yo, I have more questions now. Like, why was this wild alien creature, beast, whatever? Why did it decide to want to just? This valley was going to be like its hunting grounds or whatever. Like, for what reason? Like, was it there?
Because, well, they answered that question. They said because the guy started feeding horses. Yeah. And so for it wasn't there where was 6 months earlier. It's been there for the last 6 months. Who knows? Floating around. And then what was with the cloud thing? It had cloud camouflage 24/7, but then it also didn't have cloud camouflage, or that was a nest made out of clouds. What the hell was the cloud thing about? It would have made more sense to me, like, if it came in and, like, say at the end of it killed off, they killed off like the alpha, right? The male that was just like protecting its hunting grounds to feed its family. And you got a female version out there, you got like little whatever, or even if it's just like an asexual being, it has its like little babies out there still in the world, and they're now going to be problems for you. I can understand why it was, like defending or like fighting over this stretch of canyon for a bunch of horses and maybe some hikers. But I'm just like, why, bro? Like, it's like, this is just. But what was this thing about not looking at the center of its belly, which was its eye, but it's its mouth? And if you look at it, it eats you.
Because I was like, some predators, you look at them, you look them in their eyes, and they'll take it as a challenge. Like, sometimes like dogs, like you really shouldn't be looking dogs like dead in their eyes, because they'll take it as intimidation and they'll defend themselves.
Yeah, that's true. Well, that's true with gorillas. You don't make eye contact with a gorilla, man.
I think
you look just off. You face it, so it
and
knows
I think
not
they needed
to.
Something for OJ to. I understand animals and I respect them. Therefore, I can pick up on this thing that nobody else would even be sensitive. It was trope. It was that thing. It was that thing.
It was
that
there.
That was why it was there.
It was
also,
there.
We need a reason why he doesn't just get gobbled up. I think.
Right, and how do you outrun a thing that's that fast?
Because you didn't look at it.
Outrun the thing.
It's when I watched the trailer, I was expecting something really creepy, something to make my skin. I was expecting a horror film because honestly, when black people say nope, it's horror. It's like we ain't doing that. No. Why did you say Split Up? Nope. Why did you say you'll go check it out? Why are you doing half the thing? Like, black folk look at horror films like, why are y'all doing half of this stuff?
Yeah.
Well, Jordan Peele went on in an interview, said that's why he called it Nope. He goes, I'm naming this for that demographic of people who watch these movies, and that's literally their response when something's happening in the theaters.
But this wasn't a horror film. We say nope to like, you're rich, you want to say Candyman in the mirror?
No.
Nope. Look, wait, do you see the look on his face? Nope.
But those were the best parts of the movie, man. Like, Daniel, when he opens the door and the alien spaceship monster creature is literally just above him, and he closes the door, and it's so subtle, man. His acting is so subtle, and he just says.
Or even when they were getting the fish sandwiches, and he wanted to talk about what they just saw, and it's just like, we want to talk about that right now.
Yeah.
Like, I want to talk about that right now. Like, that's real. It's like, we ain't gonna talk about that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Or when he was in the stables with the horses and the kids were dressed up as aliens.
That was great.
And he's backing up.
That was freaking great.
But I was like, honestly, had the movie been more like that the whole way through, if that was like the point of no return for the movie. And the problem was that moment was so good that I wanted to just watch an alien movie at that point, and then they kind of threw that all away and spent the next half hour finding the movie that they did want to tell. But by that point, I was like, well, I already saw the good stuff. That was the good stuff. Capitalizing on your protagonist doing the smart thing is a thing that most horror movies don't do. And if Nope had played that trope out, where their protagonist was in all these situations where you're like, this is when they would have got out of the car and run for the house, but he didn't.
Well,
he looked up,
I
he
guess,
goes, nope.
I guess when you have the movie called Nope, you forfeit your reason for existing when you have these black people. Let's get a picture of this thing.
Nope.
No.
Nope.
No. 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 We don't. No.
Nope, we don't do that.
Yeah, and now you create the conflict where you still got to figure the film
Well, now
out,
you just have.
right? Like, why are they still here? If you keep putting these people in a situation where self-preservation, that's what, to me, Nope means self-preservation. That'd be a silly thing to do. So let's opt out of that. Nope. If the movie was that,
Black people.
and you
Black
just keep
people in
raising the
general
stakes,
are a superstitious lot. There's just certain things we just don't. You can be freaking agnostic. You could be an atheist as a black person. You go into a church, this is something you're just not going to say. You may not even believe in it, but you're like, no, I will not.
Right, you can be a straight up atheist, go into a church, and like if someone start cursing, like, oh no. Oh no, you don't do that.
No.
But you don't believe in it. But for some reason, you shouldn't do that. Either way, you shouldn't do it.
Be like,
okay. And what about the creature morphing into some sort of balloon thing at the end of it?
I actually
And
thought
why?
I fell asleep and missed it.
I'm sorry.
No,
you fell asleep during the film?
Because I didn't understand why it changed. So I was like, I must have missed
you fell asleep.
something.
Nah, you didn't. Well, listen, I did not fall asleep. I was coherently there 100% of the time and sat there watching this thing transform into a balloon going, it looks really cool. Yeah, it looks cool. But why? And what? And
I guess the flying saucer was like his hard shell or something, right? That was the shell.
Sure.
Okay, can I tell you what I love though?
Why not?
Which I thought was brilliant.
Yeah.
Is that when it ate the people, you kind of still hear their screams as it's flying around because it takes a while to digest all those people.
Because it was a giant echo chamber.
He's eating them whole, and some people just aren't.
That was smart. But I was confused. But also, the movie set up things that it stuck to and then didn't stick to. Like, if when the creature defecated, it basically released everything it couldn't digest, which is why the dad was killed in the beginning of the film. He got hit by a dime or a nickel or
which
something.
Probably has some hidden
nickel.
Meaning I gotta look up.
And from from such a high altitude, the
I'm saying,
must have been
like
looking
the way
up
the
when
president
the
is
horse,
facing on the coin and the year on the coin, like Jordan, like it might have that level of like.
Sure. My point is this, though. When the creature defecated later in the film, it released.
I thought that was on purpose.
Blood and
I didn't think that it was releasing things it couldn't digest. I think it went over that house and like I think we talked about like marked his territory.
Right? Yeah. That's what I was thinking on that one.
But what's the? But where's the logic in the thing? If you're releasing stuff, you're releasing stuff, whether it's liquid or solids, let's say, right? And so, how was there not some version of rain, essentially, or piss? Rain.
Because maybe this
the other
wasn't
stuff was
piss.
falling.
Maybe this was like him spitting on it. Like, I'm spitting on this house. I don't always have to do this. This is not me releasing anything. I'm just going to spit here.
It was.
I know you're here.
Asserting its dominance to things that were defying him.
I mean, it definitely felt like it was asserting its dominance. I'm just wondering where the logic lies in the film, because you set up rules, right? A film sets up rules, and an audience is conditioned to agree to the rules that the film sets up. So when the creature releases stuff, it releases stuff or it doesn't release stuff.
I look at it differently because when it rained blood, it never did that before. So I didn't look at it as this is him defecating. This is him doing something deliberate, which is why it doesn't look like cans and things it can't digest. And I just thought it looked dope. All that nighttime stuff
Maybe.
to me looked freaking dope.
I was sick. But the whole metaphor of that, the monster, being angry and claiming its territory and warning the people was great. And at that point, we knew what the thing was. But looking back at the film, you're like, where did all those things come that he was dropping in the first place? Someone's keys and change and all this other stuff that was hitting the house.
In secret.
Well, we know he's been eating horses.
Right? Then keys and all that stuff came from somewhere.
Yeah, I'm thinking... I'm not sure. I could be making this up just to try to make the movie make sense. But it was probably eating like people along the way, like hikers and whatnot along the way before he got.
For his own survival, it probably goes from small towns to small ranch towns, like not making himself aware to big cities, but he probably just runs through these little places.
Probably. And if they would have expound on that a little bit more, like just like news reports of, and it might have been there, I could have just missed it because I was just like, what the hell's going on? But if they would have just had like just in the background playing while people were talking, news report of like people missing here, hikers missing over here, or whatever the case may be, then I'd be like, all right, well, that's probably the creature.
Yeah, I mean, look, this movie is not without its question marks. I think I just appreciate a director going for it. Just going for it.
Yeah, I tell you what I didn't appreciate directorial. I know that Daniel is a phenomenal actor. Not personally, but I've seen his body of work. And the guy has range and emotional depth. And I feel like he made a choice to make the character phlegmatic, so his emotions are all kind of recessed and deep, and they're in there. He's not having emotions. He's not feeling things, but those waters run deep. And I feel like he was probably pigeonholed into that the whole film. And Daniel has gone on record in interviews. He's an actor who very specifically gives all of that process over to a director. If a director says something, he's got no ego. So he does what he's told to do on set. He makes his choices. Obviously, he's a great actor, but when he's redirected, that's what he does without fail, without question. There's no blowback. He's known for that. And so I feel like Peele really kind of pigeonholed the guy's performance into a place where even when the movie arguably needed him to be a little more responsive, he wasn't.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. It's tough. For me, it's tough analyzing that in a genre thing, because it's like the tone is super realistic, or it's not natural or supposed to be. And here's a guy whose father was his god, who never lived up to him, who died, and a part of him checked out. And as checked out as he was, his sister is super aggressive.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's
and that was really clear, and that was why his performance was so great in this. But when the movie was climaxing, I felt it would have served the picture to give him a moment where he's able to break out of that shell a little bit. And you kind of almost had it. You almost had it when he was running away from the creature on the horse, and he let the parachute balloon come out, and he slides into the thing, and there's a look on his face where you're like, okay, we're in it now. Let's snowball that thing and get to the exciting part of this.
She had those moments.
Yeah,
she's fantastic. But like on the motorcycle when she thought he was dead, like she had those moments of more obvious vulnerability, more it's coming out, as opposed to but her character, it always came out.
Yeah, but who is the film about?
I don't know. I would say
that's
it's
the problem
about
with the film, right?
It's about her secretly. It's secretly about her.
But it's kind of about him. I mean, we established the film is literally established on him and his father's
But it ends
dynamic
on
and
her.
what he loses right at the top. And yes, she
But it
loses
ends on
too.
her.
What?
Sort of, kind of.
Yes.
Yeah, sort of, kind of. So, who is this film? What is this film about? Who's the film about? And answering who the film's about is really important, because that's the person who typically we want to see change by the end of the film. And so, if you're identifying a person is identifying with Daniel's arc, then Daniel needs to go through a transformation by the end of the film that we can identify with, because we're rooting for him the whole time. If he's closed off, then we need to see him open. If Kiki is the person who we're following, then we need to see her transformation by the end, arguably, by the end of the film.
I think their transformation was done in action. Like, he was second to his dad, and then you see him struggle on the movie set, like he can't control the situation. And by the end, he winds up wrangling something his dad could have never even imagined. And then you got Kiki.
Except for he doesn't actually. He doesn't wrangle the creature in a way where he's got control or dominance over the situation. He wrangles the creature just enough for her to get away from it.
And he dies. Which he dies.
Ooh.
But he kind of, I wouldn't say he saves the sister either, because he just gives the sister an opportunity to get away on the bike, but the creature goes after the sister. If the sister wasn't so resourceful with the balloon, all he ultimately did was serve his sister up
the
on
one
a
who
plate.
wasn't allowed to break in Jean Jacket, the one who was told to stay in the house, she ends up being the one who wrangles and takes down the animal.
Yeah, it doesn't wrangle.
Takes down the animal, doesn't wrangle the animal.
Right.
She doesn't assert dominance over the animal. She just gives the animal
but I think
bigger,
some of this
juicier
stuff is going to
target
have to be
for a moment.
metaphor, because they're not going to tie a rope around this animal's neck and put him in a,
No, but you've actually nailed the issue with the film. The answers are there, but they didn't actually play out in a way where the resolution for these characters actually rose to the surface. And so
we just lost Jack, but that's okay, because I think, was everything there that was supposed to be there? Probably. Was it digestible enough to give you the experience you wanted to have in the movie? I think that's where the audience gets split.
Right.
Jack, I just jumped in for you. I'm basically saying, was everything there that was supposed to be there? Probably. Was it digestible enough for you to have the experience you wanted to have? That's where I think the audiences are definitely split on this film.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Nope. I think if you're a Jordan Peele fan and you're kind of looking at him as your Stanley Kubrick, if you're kind of looking at him as your Alfred Hitchcock, where you go into his body of work and you treat it like, what does this mean? What does that mean? Then you're going to have a good time in all of his films. If you're just trying to go in and see a dope movie, I don't need all of that. Just give me Get Out. You may be disappointed. You may be disappointed.
Yeah.
But Get Out is a tall order, man.
It is.
That's a tall freaking order. Yeah.
I think I like the idea of this film way more than I ended up liking the film. And if I'm being real honest, I think Jordan Peele is a visionary. I think what he's doing cinematically and what he's attempting to do story-wise, man, I got nothing to say about the guy other than thank you and please keep doing it. And I will support your films for the next 10 years, even if I'm ultimately a little unsatisfied. My concern is because Jordan Peele hit such a home run his first time at bat, I wonder if he's getting a little bit of that star treatment where, like, Benedict Cumberbatch was literally in a documentary talking about penguins, and he called them penguins, and something else that made no sense. But because it was Benedict Cumberbatch, and he's so high up the food chain, people were afraid to say, hey man, it's called penguins. Or they thought they were wrong and maybe he was saying it right 3 different ways. And so I
something
fear
to that.
I fear that Jordan Peele may be in a position where, and I don't know this, I'm just extrapolating it, that maybe people aren't giving him constructive criticism, even though he might be really open and willing to hear it, that might actually round some of his pieces out. If people only sing you praise, then that's all you get is praise. And his film, his story, literally could have used a little bit of constructive criticism to round it out, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean that's a strong assumption. Who knows? That might be true. I think that he's the kind of filmmaker that you kind of have to let him be an artist. Like if you want to Get Out again, you have to kind of let him make what he wants to make. He can't be put. It's like he has to do sketch comedy. He has to come out with Keanu. He has to do all these things. And then through all those experiences, you Get Out. You kind of have to let him, let Spielberg blow a whole studio's budget doing Jaws so we can get to E.T.
For Jaws was a big success when it came out.
Yeah,
and people are still going back to that film.
Jaws was a big success when it came out, but it was a crap storm, and nobody should have let him do what he did. But they let him, and it turned out well. But no one gets the keys to the kingdom, and you spend all the money and you're over budget. So you kind of have to let the guy be a mad scientist a little bit.
Well, I'll quote Harold Clurman. Harold Clurman, who founded the Group Theater back in the 1930s, the first American theater company, said, "You need some flops in order to get to the good ones. You need some failures out there so you can appreciate the good ones." And I'll give you that. Sometimes we need some stuff that falls a little short, so when something like Get Out comes along, we identify it instantly.
Mm.
And let's keep it real. Us in this film is not a flop. And
no,
an artist has to flex. Like that's, and for him, maybe this movie wasn't about social commentary. Maybe this movie for him was stepping up his cinematographer eye. Maybe it's like, let me see what it's like to make this a visual masterpiece. Get Out. Let me see what it's about making a social masterpiece. Us, let me see how far I can stretch. Like maybe these are all just pieces of the puzzle that will end in like this freaking movie that's going to come out in 15 years. It's going to be like, holy crap. I see why you did this.
It could be the Peele verse.
Dude, there already is a Peele verse. Yeah. I think all these movies is probably connected.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. But that's our take on Nope. I think it's a movie that, whether you love it or not, it's doing what I think Jordan ultimately wants, which is you can sit down and have a long talk about it. Yeah. And that's what it's doing. For me, I'd give it a strong. I want to work with Jordan Peele one day. I'm not going to rate this. No, man, but I'll be real. I give it a strong 7. I give it a strong 7 because I think what he does really well is he builds relationships and characters. So even if the alien never came, I'd be interested in this brother-sister relationship working in the movie business after their father died. Or I guess their father's not dead. Like I would... Every movie, even Us, I would just get down with the drama around these people I see before it hits the fan.
Okay.
Which ultimately would have probably been a better film.
Yeah. I would give it... You said a 7? I would give it... I would say a 6. A 5.5 to a 6.
Gotta choose, Rich.
Wow. That's harsh, Rich. That's really harsh.
I mean, listen, it was a long movie, and I appreciate some gratuitous.
Don't feel judged by Jack, Rich.
I really appreciate gratuitous violence, and the whole the chimpanzee, just bashing in heads was my thing. But
I could do a whole movie with Gordy, man.
Like,
give me that story.
It was the problem with that being some of the most interesting stuff, but actually not serving the overall movie was amazing. your problem.
I didn't need it for this movie, but I mean, it was just too long of a movie. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 6. I'm just gonna give it a straight 6.
Yeah, average.
Yeah.
Right? No, that's above
So
average.
just slightly above average. Slightly
That's
above average.
That's fine.
Like, I was so confused by because the movie actually starts with the Gordy flashback.
Yeah.
It does.
And I sat there going, I'm in the right movie, right? Because I knew what the movie I was going to watch was about. And that opening scene, I was like, is this like an extended thing for the Monkey Paw
Yeah.
Productions?
Oh.
Like, am I watching a Monkey Paw thing? And like, it's just the movie Nope is starting with a small little
Can you imagine if that's like his opening moniker is just a chimpanzee beating the
That's what I thought I was watching.
That would be fantastic. I would love that.
I was like so confused.
Including a
I was
child,
like, what am I
Rich,
watching?
Including a child.
Yeah,
It was great. I mean, it was great. The monkey stuff was some of my favorite stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I just wish it had actually paid dividends towards the story, and ultimately it really fell short for me in that regard. I would give the movie. I thought the acting values were phenomenal. I mean, people just killing it.
Yeah.
I thought the cinematography was top notch. It just was such a beautiful film to watch. And I thought what the film was striving to do was, it's why I will support his content for the next 10 years without question. But ultimately, the story was kind of what I thought fell short. I guess I would give the movie like a 6.57. I feel like
choose.
a 7. I know. I hear you. I want to give it... I guess I'll give it a 7. I would give it a 7. Like, I still enjoyed it. I would probably go back and watch it again. And I would not go back and watch a lot of movies again. And I would go back and watch it again because I would give Jordan the benefit of my doubt that perhaps I missed something. Although, without being conceited, I am a pretty good audience member. Like, I really sit there and I pay attention. I don't blink, man. I don't blink. And so I feel like I probably didn't honestly miss too much, but I would give it a second watch. And I enjoyed it, but I didn't enjoy it. I give it a 7, I guess.
So we'll find out what Chris thinks, and then, it might be a 7, which isn't bad, man. I think as an artist, a true artist, you should always be getting 7s, because your stuff should always be riding the line of what the hell are you doing, and it's a masterpiece.
and that's
it's
why
not formulaic.
I mean,
it's not
honestly,
Marvel. It's what are you doing, or is this brilliant?
Yeah, and on that regard, I'd want to give him a higher. Like, I would want to give him a higher score. The movie, not him. I want to give the film. I'm not talking about Peele. I'm talking about the film.
Yeah.
I'd want to give the film a higher score because I feel like it's striving to do something that most films really play it safe. The film didn't play it safe. Maybe it fell short in some areas, but at least it didn't play it safe.
And I guess when I look at
and I would give it a lower score because of the story.
And I guess Jordan Peele, much like freaking Scorsese, much like Alfred Hitchcock, it's almost like you have to almost judge the body of work at the end. To pick out a movie isn't doing a service to Scorsese. You have to kind of like look at the whole body. Goodfellas all the way to the Irish. Was Irish? What is it? Irishman?
Well, he's got such a good blend of genres.
Right.
What Peele does, he's really managed to mash up a lot of different elements in his films and consistently.
And pretty seamless in tone. So we'll see. But I think that's what we have for Nope. What's up, y'all? Welcome to Three Brothers and a Shot of Milk.